Some say it grew from our malice and indifference. Some say it was retribution from the heavens. All we know is the pandemic began somewhere. Somewhere cursed, dark, and filled with sorrow. Future generations will wonder how it all started. We will tell them the infection began with podcastZERO.
Hello.
Oh, my.
People are saying you're muted.
Perfect. Well, let's try that again. Facepalm. They can hear me through core speakers, though, but that's not fine. Hello, everybody. Welcome to podcastZERO, a H1Z1 podcast. And like I was saying, we have an all-star cast tonight with Cohh, Ellohime, Skylatron, CrsSmokie, and CoreofexisteNz. There, I did it that time. Cool.
Hello.
Hello. So, how many of you guys got to see the 12-hour podcast yesterday?
Almost last minute of it. Yeah. All the way to the end.
Skyla and I yesterday, everybody, were actually on Skype together, capturing all the little notes and then tweeting them out. So if you guys were watching our stream, we were tweeting it like crazy. Lots of stuff to go over tonight. So we're going to go over some of the content from the live cast and talk about some of the things that they mentioned, and then discuss it. While we're doing this, everybody, we have a moderator in the chat, one of my moderators on my channel. He's going to be grabbing questions. All you guys need to do is just type questions in brackets. So you just type bracket, question, bracket, and then write your question out, and he will grab that question and put it into our Skype chat so that we can answer these questions when we get to the Q&A section at the end. So, yeah. How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing great.
Awesome.
Very well.
I'm mediocre.
Mediocre at best?
Aww. How can we make it better?
Well, I would really like to do a podcast. That would make me feel great.
Would it?
You're in luck.
Good news.
In good news. You're in good company. This is really early morning for you right now, Ellohime. I've been watching you streaming at like 2 in the morning and stuff, so this is like breakfast time for you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It is weird timing for me. I think I'll do okay though. I feel awake. I feel alert.
All right.
You just roll out of bed?
Yeah, actually, I really did. Just roll out of bed.
Hey,
I sleep in the afternoons up into 9, 10 o'clock, 11 sometimes, and yeah.
So, 4 hours ago, Geek comes up to me and goes, "Can you be on the podcast?" I'm like, "Yes, I will. I will do this." So I went to bed.
So you went to bed, yeah.
Yes, he did. He just woke up.
Well, the thing is, I got to work in like 6 hours, so I had to sleep a little bit before the cast.
When you told me when it was 8 p.m., I was like, yes, another hour. I thought it was 7. Set my alarm for 7:45. Guys, I'm a gamer professionally. This is what I do. So.
However it works. All right, so I guess we can go over some of the cliff notes from yesterday. Those in the audience might not know, H1Z1 is a brand new game coming out in about 3 weeks for early access. It'll be $20. You'll be able to get it on Steam, and you'll be able to play it pretty soon. In the beginning of the show here, I did show some of the scenes of the gameplay. It's still early alpha, but it's coming up. So a lot of things we're going to be talking about tonight are kind of theory crafting and just sort of general ideas of that we've had from playing other games, other types of zombie survival games. So let's see here. Turn these up. All right, so some of the things they talked about on the live stream is that there will be a confirmed food chain. Deer will eat the grass, the wolves will eat the deer, the wolves will eat people, people eat deer, people might eat wolves, but zombies are going to eat everything. What do you guys think?
People eat people.
People might eat people. If you watched, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but...
they did talk about it.
What, in the Walking Dead?
Oh, no, in the live stream yesterday they talked about players cannibalizing each other. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen?
No.
You might not even get some kind of energy boost?
No, unfortunately.
Wait. They're not going to have cannibalism?
No.
Oh, I want to be a cannibal.
Did they give any rationale? This seems like a major feature that they're missing out on here.
They just laughed it off. So sad.
Yeah, sorry, Cohh. Like your fans are all upset.
It's okay. Yeah, guys, I'm not running the stream tonight. I'm just an innocent bystander.
Here's a question. So
I don't have a Domo sale one. What's that?
Okay, so a food chain thing is a great idea, but what kind of life forms? How all encompassing is the food chain here? If they're just going to have wolves, zombies, and people and deer, then this is maybe not that much of a big deal. But now, if they're going to put all sorts of animals out in the wild, maybe this could be a little more intricate. So how far did they mention anything about how
rabbits?
Rabbits? Okay, so rabbits are in there too.
Okay, rabbits sold. That's enough.
Yeah, rabbits. Rabbits. There you go.
And rats.
Holy hand grenades? Are there any holy?
Yeah, the holy hand grenades. The rabbits. They are talking that the deer might become zombie deer and the wolves might become zombie wolves. So I would think a zombie flying rabbit, vorpal rabbit, would totally be in the.
That's what I was going to ask. Like I feel like the virus should be able to affect these animals as well. And like, I'd love to see a rabbit chasing around wolves infected and trying to chew them up, or a pack of infected rabbits going after the deer or whatever.
So zombie rabbits would eat rabbits, right?
They could.
And zombie rabbits would eat wolves. And
Won't they eat anything?
Well, zombies eat anything, so
yeah.
Zombies eat
that'd be
anything.
awesome.
But zombies don't really typically go after each other.
But zombies go after everything.
If zombie humans go after humans, then wouldn't zombie rabbits go after rabbits?
Or
Yeah.
Maybe I misunderstood. I thought zombie rabbits after zombie rabbits.
No.
It's like rabbits after.
Well, they might still go after each other, but for different reasons.
Do you guys think that this is not something that like rabbits have tackled in their lifetime? Like we understand zombies to a degree, but rabbits, do they even talk about this? You think? Like rabbits?
I mean, this is pretty serious stuff that really should be talked about. I'm sure they at least bring it up in casual conversation, if
it's
nothing
like
else.
Watership Down, but the Walking Dead version of Watership Down.
It's like human, like that's a concern for humans, but this is not something rabbits have tackled. I don't think they're not ready for this.
Probably.
I'm sure they've mentioned it once or twice around the water cooler. I mean,
yeah. I don't know.
But the whole premise of what you were talking about, though, Ello, is kind of interesting because in this game, you know, if there were a limited amount of creatures and things and interactions, it would eventually get pretty stale. But the way that this is supposed to work is what they want to eat is just one of many different things. They're using a new AI system that you can kind of think of it like a complicated kind of web diagram that kind of traces different directions, depending on different levels of want and need to that unit. Yeah. So their attraction for food is just like one component of the whole kind of thing. So it would, you know, eventually kind of, if they were all just focusing on eating, it'd probably get pretty stale. But since there's so many different things they can do, that even a limited amount of things may still be, you know, relatively unique when you approach them, you know, and they're doing different things in their lives and that kind of thing. But granted, that being said, if there are only like 5 things, you know, that would be an issue.
Well, is there anything other than rabbits?
Did they go over a list of that? That's a good question.
They did not, but I think they talked about rats, maybe, and rabbits. So it's probably small animal, vermin, that kind of thing, maybe groundhogs, something along those lines.
I'm hoping for flighted and like birds.
Yeah,
I watched a very small interview where they mentioned a whole array of animals, but they're going to be rolling them out one by one. So even if they start with, you know, maybe 10 animals at first, you know, 10 links in the food chain, they can always just add links left and right until they just expand that chain.
Now, the next question I have is there like a point where... Sorry, I'm hearing a little bit of an echo.
Yeah, who's that coming
I don't know. I don't know. But is there a point where something isn't completely infected and something could eat something else and then gain the virus, thinking it is an okay meal or a safe meal?
I haven't heard of that yet.
Yeah.
That's my next question, because when you think about a food chain, I try to think about, well, why are we having such an intricate food chain system? Maybe there's possibilities if you're starving to eat something, but you don't know if that creature or whatever is infected in a certain way. It could hurt you in the long run, or be a risk, or there's some kind of risk involved. I don't know. I'm just asking questions.
No,
I didn't
fine.
watch the 12-hour.
DayZ has that, right? Not necessarily where you get infected from a zombie infection, but if you eat some piece of fruit, you seem like you're okay, and then a bad taste enters your mouth, and all of a sudden
it can actually kill you. Yeah,
it does kill you. I've died from it.
It can, yeah.
Those damn rotten kiwis.
Yeah.
Well, no, that is kind of interesting. Like, what if you kill something that's been infected, and then, I can't remember. Now, by the way, just to kind of throw this out there, and I think Ella's probably in the same boat. We, this podcast we're kind of going over today was 12 hours.
Yes.
So, we've gotten, like, snippets of it, but there's certainly probably things that we missed.
Mm-hmm.
So, just if me or anyone says anything, please feel free to correct us, Joe or Skyla, the people that watch 12 hours. But one of the things I was kind of interested about is eating meat. I'm assuming, I remember there were campfires that could open up. I'm assuming you can cook food and eat it. What can you get meat from zombies? Can we get infected? Did they go over any, is there any connection between, do we need to worry about being bitten in this game? I know this is kind of a tangent, but did they go over any of that stuff?
There is permadeath. So if you die from a zombie, your character can come back as a zombie and walk around as a zombie. Now, you'll have a new character, of course.
You have to buy the game again.
You gotta buy the whole game again, re-download it. Yeah, no.
It's a permadeath system.
It's complete permadeath.
It's how they're going to
get life per purchase.
You're basically asking if there's a status effect of infected, like a hunger status effect or something like that.
Because if animals can get infected, if there's going to be zombie deers running around, when you kill a deer, is it just not going to drop meat if it's infected? And what if it's like a situation like Ello, where it's just got bit and it may not be a zombie yet?
Mm-hmm.
Can you eat that meat? Would it kill you? It's.
I don't think we've.
With DayZ logic, you could just spray it with a couple spurts of Lysol, and,
right, or the bleach.
Call it a day.
Yeah.
Just boil it in some Lysol. And some
we don't have any of that information yet that it spreads that way. Don't know.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like with the the kind of circle of life, system that they're trying to put in. There's a lot of these directions that they could go if they wanted to, or just something to think about.
Mm-hmm. But would you want them to? Do you want that level of complexity if you happen to eat infected meat? Do you want to have the potential to die? Or would you rather avoid that?
I think the DayZ players are. The DayZ players are going to want as much customization and depth that you can give them. They love status effects. They love multiple. And I'm one of these people. I like the more kind of real experience with that kind of thing. I would love that kind of stuff personally. Tons of different status effects. Dehydrated, hungry, sickened, injured, all that stuff. It just kind of adds to basically the danger of the game.
But Skylar brings up a good point. Sometimes we talk about these systems that may be implemented, they wouldn't be as fun as we thought they would. But I think having some sort of risk associated with I think it's the dilemma that makes it kind of fun sometimes in DayZ. I'm starving. I have to eat something. I have this meat in front of me. I have no way to test it.
You can't.
Here we go. Yeah. Here we go. I can't cook it. Here we go. And whatever happens. That's the kind of stuff. Those kind of situations, almost like the Walking Dead kind of situations. Like, here we are. We're starving, and this is what we have. And okay, I think it would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
We'd obviously have to see it in implemented, but I think it would be interesting. Or, if you go the whole DayZ route, you can tie them up and force feed. You could do a whole thing. Hey man, tell us, what kind of stuff you have. If you don't, we're going to force feed this meat to you. We don't know if it's infected or not.
If you live,
so if you live, whatever, but here we go. That kind of thing. So it could bring about some different kind of cool situations or scenarios, so to speak.
To answer your question, sorry, go ahead, Ben.
I'm afraid if they don't add that kind of complexity, it's going to kind of just be a normal run-of-the-mill survivor shooter game. And to really do something special, which I think is what they want to do, they have to have that type of complexity. It has to go down to the micro level about, every item in the game has to have several possible outcomes and ways to modify it.
To answer your question, Cohh, they will have the container system like they did in Rust. So you'll open up the fire and you'll be able to put the items in there like that. I think you asked that question a bit ago. So
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool. That system worked well in Rust, to be frank, as long as hackers weren't breaking through your walls and stealing all your stuff. But
Right.
It was great before that.
They did say also that there's going to be customizable weapons. You're going to be able to find different items and sort of stick them together. Like you could find a tripod for a camera and stick it on the front of your rifle, so it becomes like a bipod kind of thing, and all that kind of stuff that we're kind of looking forward to, and having some kind of crazy weapons that are held together with duct tape and all that are possible, and they're going to be implementing those as well.
Oh, now I want to put diseased rats, or not diseased rats, or diseased rabbits on like a stick and like hit somebody and infect people. Like, that's what I want to do now. Like duct tape one of these rabbits like to the top of a stick, run around, yeah, and just run around and smack people and be like infected, and just run off and let them live their lives. See if they can find some kind of cure.
Dude, with bunny head mallets, just like
yeah, man, that'd be hilarious. Oh, you're not like having to get past the barricade. You're just sticking your rabbit, trying to hit whoever you can.
Look up there, you're throwing at them, just like throwing these bunny shirt zombie heads. Just
yeah, we won't have grenades, but we're going to start throwing animal heads at each other. Yeah, that's perfect.
Exactly.
Did you say bunny shurikens? It's like shurikens dipped in like zombie matter.
Yeah.
Rabbit zombie matter and then tossed at people. It's like, gosh.
So that's the cool part, because you can get some really crazy role playing with that, because there's like no reason you can't be a completely insane person living out in the wilderness somewhere, like in your underwear, throwing rabbit heads at people.
I would start a whole tribe of people that do nothing but run around beating people to a pulp with a rabbit duct taped to the end of a pole. That's what in my underwear. That's what it would be.
That'd be killer.
This isn't Rust. This is H1Z1.
Welcome to the Vikings.
They did confirm that you will not be nude in this game, though. Somebody
I was
asked,
just going to say that, yeah.
Will you?
That was horrible. I can't believe that somebody thought that was a good idea in Rust. Just saying.
I think it's
There's
great.
no immersion
It's
game for that. Period. I mean,
All the ding dongs running around, Co?
yeah, it was horrible. It was
I want realism.
Yeah.
I'm only upset that they all had the same piece.
Right.
I want to see a variety.
That was the real deal.
Character customization needs a
respawn
slider.
till you get your own size. Is that
Yes.
what you were talking about?
Yeah.
Where's my character customization with sliders?
Yeah. I want a schmeckle slider.
Your character's status in the game depends on how long or short you randomly drop with how big your piece is. All right, we're really getting off on
We
a
always
tangent.
go off on tangents. This is the whole point of our show, is like be completely vapid and go off on tangents. It's fine. They also talked about something called Quick Tree. So kind of a cool thing. Basically, they go open up the map. Oh, map. Map is right now 8 kilometers by 8 kilometers square. It's
What's
pretty
in relation to DayZ?
about twice as big as Chenerus, or what's that one map?
Generis.
Chenera. I can't. I'm not really good with Russian. And
Did you say 8 cam by 8 cam?
8K by 8 km. Yep.
Isn't that quite small compared to Generis?
Is it? I thought it was. I thought Chenerus was like 4K by like 5K or something. It's like an odd size. Yeah, I could be wrong. It's been a while since I played. But anyway, this quick tree, basically they can load the map up and they can paint where the trees are going to go, and then trees are just going to spawn there, because like we were talking about earlier, the trees in this game you'll be able to chop down. The tree stumps will stay where the tree fell down for days, and the tree will lay on the ground there, so you'll be able to tell where other players have been through and whether or not they've been gathering wood. And also trees will have falling damage. So and when they come back, they just spawn back in the places where they painted it. So that's how that works.
That falling damage thing seems kind of interesting. I can't imagine any situation where they would be like, okay, we're thinking of ways a player can have a good time. Let's make it so trees can kill them, and that way, just in case they put a lot of work into their permadeath character, they can say they were killed by a tree.
By a tree. Hey, it's a survival,
It just seems
They're out
kind
in the
of
woods taking a tree down with a machete.
a little trolly.
It's a legitimate.
Great. You're sitting there, cooking your food at your bonfire. Dude up the hill chops a tree down. It rolls down. You look to your right, and you're dead after you spent 3 days in that character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hell, you got to watch your surroundings, I guess.
So, okay, hold on a second. So, some guy's at the top of the hill chopping a tree for like 3 hours while the guy stays stationary. It's like a camp. Okay, I can see like a camp. What if you went into like a forest and like chopped all the trees like just one chop away, and then like lured people into your like danger forest, and then like you just ran through just giving that one last chop, and like the trees are just falling as you go. Like what's the point of it? Like what I mean, are they talking about traps or like something like that, or is it just?
I think it's just something.
It's just that it could kill you.
It could kill you. It's one other thing that could kill you in the game.
Okay. I totally understand the point of there being the trees making noises and like attracting zombies and shit. Like that's cool,
happen,
but I don't know about the falling thing, yeah.
I will say that does open
if
up...
a tree falls on you... Sorry, if a tree falls on you, I assume you're dead. So, I mean, that they added to the game, it's a fun detail, but to really add that much more value. I mean, it'll be funny if you chop a tree. All your friends are like, come on, chop this tree. Tree falls down. Kill 2 of your friends, and you stand there going, shit. I mean, it would be a funny moment. But
it depends.
Go ahead, Ella.
I was just gonna say it just depends, like on how like. There's so many different ways you can. I mean, even have something like chopping a tree down. You could have something like where you chop it and then then it's like almost like a ragdoll feature, and the tree kind of just physics its way down. It's like every tree would be really dangerous, or is it like a one animation thing where the tree's here and it always falls?
No,
like
you can actually cut it in different angles and it'll fall in different directions. It's like
wow. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Okay,
Yeah.
It's kind of like Landmark with the cutting. I just see that part. But no, there's 2 ways to go. And actually, Corey, you just touched on something kind of interesting. It's funny if it's like a game, you're playing with your buds, everything's fine. Like Titanfall, oh, I got killed by a mech because he stepped on me. It's not so funny when it's permadeath.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those situations where, you're with your 2 buddies, a tree falls and kills one of them. The 2 buddies just look at each other and are like,
fuck.
Whoa. Like, it's not really fun at that point. It's just like, dude, should we take all his stuff? Like, what do we do? He's going to spawn on the other side of the map.
He's like smushed underneath.
This guy for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like this play experience all of a sudden just changed. We were all having a good time, us 3, and now it's just us 2. We don't even know where our buddy's going to spawn. We wanted to play the whole night with him, and he got killed by a flipping tree. But on the other hand, I will say, if they really kind of take that to the next level, like Ellohime just brought up a really good point earlier. Think if rocks rolling down physics, physics rolling rocks could kill you. Well, trees can. Why couldn't rocks? Well, if rocks could do that, what's to stop you from pushing a whole bunch of boulders up to an edge and then having someone lure someone through the canyon and then you pushing all the... you could actually make your own traps where the mechanic doesn't necessarily exist. And that kind of freedom could be very interesting in a game like this.
I mean,
you get killed in ways you didn't even think of by opponents that are just one-upping you with logic and interesting physics puzzles. Like you cut down a bunch of trees, you push them over to a side again, and you're walking up an alley. All of a sudden, trees fall behind you, so you can't get out, and then all of a sudden, rocks start falling down the front. And it's like, well, damn.
And then zombie rabbits.
Zombie bunny head axes.
Exactly. Then
the guys, their underwear are yelling at you, and you don't know what.
Well, here's
something about Vikings.
Painted blue.
Here's the thing, though, too. You could, again, back to the DayZ thing. You could tie somebody up, put them in front of a tree, and drop a tree on them if you wanted to. That could just be another fun way to just kind of dispose of somebody. I mean, what's stopping somebody from being like, all right, man, I'm going to cut this tree down. Stand over here. I'm totally not going to drop it on you. And then, like, chop, chop, chop. Oh, no, Billy, what happened to you? We need another Billy. Like, I don't know. It's such a weird little side mechanic that, like, it's so awkward that it might. But here's the thing. Like we've seen with DayZ, people get so creative with just little stupid things you give them. Like Cohh was talking about, just throw it in there, and then it can totally become a whole system of people who learn how to manipulate and use these trees. There's a whole tree people out there that like understand how to use these in order to kill people. Like literally, cut it down and it rolls down a hill. Somebody's camping at the bottom. Could it destroy barricades? Could it do damage to a barricade if it falls on a barricade? That's another good point.
You cut the trees around them and destroy it that way, save all your supplies. It's an awesome point.
Drop a tree right in front of their car.
Yeah, drop a tree or on their car. Or, there's where this can go is all sorts of different ways, and if they do put it in there and they just kind of allow the freedom of a tree falling, who knows what kind of crazy stuff might spawn off of that. I can see a YouTube video right now of like a compilation video where a guy just runs around doing stupid stuff with falling trees. Like, I mean, that person's me, by the way. that person is me. I'm gonna find a way.
Yes.
Yeah, but no, I don't know. It's interesting. It's like a weird like
detail.
Yeah, it's just a weird detail. Like it seems just kind of haphazardly thrown in, but it might add some crazy gameplay or again scenarios. I think it's the biggest thing about these DayZ games is scenarios, different scenarios. Give the players freedom, give the players the tools, and just let them run wild. I think that's what is so appealing about DayZ is there's no story. You make your story. You want to be a bandit, go be a bandit. You want to be a hobo that runs around on the streets and yells at people or plays music and runs by. Like they give you that kind of freedom to just go off into the world and do whatever you want to do. And if this is one of those things, I'm sure if there was tree falling in DayZ, that players would find some very unique ways to manipulate it and have fun with it. Yep. Yeah,
that's the beauty of a sandbox game is that you have that freedom to sort of develop the game as you want.
I'm thinking, of course you're going to be able to dig holes and things like that. So there's going to be like a tribe of cave people that are down there butt naked just digging holes just for the fun of digging holes.
Well, they did actually mention that there's no ground deformation in this game. It's not the voxel engine. It's just a straight-up PlanetSide 2. Somebody had a question a second ago. However many people can fit on a PlanetSide 2 map, that's how many people can fit in H1Z1.
That's up in the hundreds, right?
I thought it was higher. Cohh, you play a lot of PlanetSide 2?
Actually, I have not played a lot of the PlanetSide 2, but if it is as large as PlanetSide 2, it's still slightly smaller than DayZ.
Oh, as far as the map goes, yes, but I'm talking about the total numbers. I thought you could have up to 1,000 people or something, I thought, on a single map.
If I played a lot of PlanetSide 2
you did? Okay.
when it first came out, and that you can have huge battles of just hundreds of people. If that were in like a zombie scenario, that would be insane. Horrifying. Yeah, that'd be absolutely horrifying.
Anarchy. Yeah.
I mean, how many zombies would you want per player then as well? I mean, if you've got like 20 zombies per player, then suddenly those hundreds of players will be swamped by 2,000 zombies.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, in that regard, what becomes an okay number of zombies that are around? Because you have hundreds of people battling it out or running around each other in an area. If you only have 20 zombies, this becomes kind of the zombies no longer they can become moot. Like But if you have too many zombies in one area, like that, to compensate for how many hundreds of people, if there's hundreds of zombies, like a couple people run through an area and they're totally swamped. Mm-hmm. So, like, do you think that's weird. Are they maybe going to spawn when...
A good comparison to this question would be the DayZ way of doing it, where depending on the amount of people in the area, they spawn more zombies.
You're talking about DayZ mod, because the DayZ standalone still is lacking.
DayZ mod is what I'm talking about. I apologize.
Yeah. No, it's
yes, I'm talking about DayZ mod, and in this is the more people there are in an area, and of course the more high density area is like a city, the more will spawn on top of each other, and it will become really quickly impossible for someone who's on their own to avoid all these hundreds of zombies in one area simply because there's 3 people there. Now, if you're looking at like a secluded area, that might only mean there's like 20 zombies for the 3 people that are there, which isn't that bad. However, the issue comes a little bit further down the line in the engine, where if we realize that a very unoptimized system like the Arma 2 engine can't even handle more than 1,000 zombies on the server, combined with all the loot systems and all the other things involved, how is the netcode going to run for, say, 2,000 zombies on H1Z1? If that is true.
It does bring up some good points.
I know they didn't talk numbers, but they did talk heat mapping last night.
Yes.
So about the more players are in an area, the amount of zombies that would spawn at that point. They do have a system in place for that, but they didn't talk numbers specifically. So I'd be interested to see if there's like 100 people in an area, if they're going to spawn less or more zombies, how they're going to handle that.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, at what point do barricades not even become a thing? Like, you would throw down a barricade and 100 versus 100, 100 versus 100, human fighting, and then spawn a bunch of zombies on that. Like, are barricades even necessary at that point? Like, there's a lot of dynamics to that might be kind of crazy. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Oh, I put down my fence and I add a socket to it, and I'm totally barricaded here. Oh, just a swarm of 100 humans come over it. Okay, well, that lasted all of 2 seconds.
And
so.
now I'm dead.
Yeah.
That was one of the bad parts about the DayZ mod, was that you could tell if there were even players in a town because you just look there. Any zombies? No. Okay, so no one's actually there to kill. There's probably no loot. It's already been looted, etc. So I feel like they do need to really investigate how they do their spawning. They can't have it spawn like right on top of you, because when zombies spawn, right behind you or whatever, it really loses that immersive gameplay real quickly. So I think that's a really important thing that they need to look at.
The experienced players in DayZ mod used Zeds or zombies as an identifier for knowing whether or not there were people that they could kill in the area and how many there were, and judging from where the spawns are, 200 meters from this building, 200 meters from that building, echolocation by zombie, right? Mm-hmm. And that is kind of something that you need to go away from, because if you are trying to set down a good zombie game, the zombies need to be inherent to the map, as in they need to be a feature. They need to be there regardless of whether or not there are players. But of course, how do you really incorporate that? Now, other games have talked about like sleep states for their mods, or not for their mods, for their mobs or for their zombies. Where unless you're in a certain within a certain distance of something, it just won't be activated as an asset.
Really good segue, because I did want to start talking about the zombies themselves, the mechanics of how they're going to work. They basically can smell humans. They're using story bricks, so they're going to have their wants and needs, which Cohh touched on earlier. So they're going to want to travel around as a single person, a single zombie looking for some food, or they can start hoarding up and grouping up. But they can sense sound, and they have a memory. So say you're Cohh, or you're running along, all of a sudden you got like 2 zombies on your butt. You run around the corner of a building. They know you went around the corner of the building, so they'll follow you that direction. If you can hide after that point and they can't see you, then go into sort of a sensing mode where they can they're listening for sounds or they are smelling you. And if they can smell you or hear you, then they'll keep coming after you. So you got to hide and be like a rabbit and don't move. So that's one of the things they've built in. These zombies are really kind of intense the way they can maneuver around.
Yeah, it sounds like almost the level of like Thief, type of AI in regards to sneaking. But how that actually is going to work out, it will be a little bit of a question mark, because
just out of curiosity. Go ahead. Go. Sorry.
No, they've talked about these type of systems before in zombie games, and they've never really made it in. So yeah, we'll see.
Just out of curiosity, I found when I heard about that, I didn't unfortunately see that part. But when I heard about like hiding in bushes, being able to hide behind things, that kind of indicates the beginning of a stealth system. Mm-hmm. And it made me wonder, is the stealth system going to be usable against other players? Is there going to be armor or stuff that we can wear that's going to increase the stealth detection or ability? Like, did they go any further into that, or just kind of
I don't think they went into it like that way. I think the stealth is mostly for players first, because if you sit there long enough, they actually kind of become super camouflaged, but not like see-through like you would be in WoW, like if you were playing a rogue. But for the zombies, they can always smell you, or they would probably work for the zombies a little bit. But I think overall, it's mainly for players, just so you can hide there for a second. If players running by with a gun and you only have an axe,
well,
you could axe them in the head.
Breaking line of sight has always been a thing, but I mean, you can't. It's difficult, because when another player has something working against them so that they can't see you because of a system that's in place, and now you're basically a bush. I mean, are we talking? Are you wearing that bush? Are you a ghillie suit, or do you just turn magically into a bush because you broke line of sight with that player? I mean, sorry.
From now on, can we say small tree? Can we just agree on that as a podcast?
Okay, small tree. A very small tree.
A shrubbery.
A large.
A shrubbery. We might require a shrubbery.
A nice one.
Just cover your entire base in bushes or shrubberies so that you're always hidden. Like, that's it.
Rule number 1. Don't ever use the word bush.
Order appreciate
that, man, I don't. There's just so many ways they can do it. I don't know. It's hard to speculate on such a system. I assume they're going to be having like weather effects, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If
They showed the rain yesterday. Yep.
Yeah, if it's raining, probably zombies are going to have a harder time sensing you, smelling you. Of course,
that's built
yeah.
in. Yeah. And when it rains, everything gets wet. You know, it's not like in other games where it rains and it's sort of like, you know, just sort of an effect. This is like things get slick. It's gonna be harder to go up and down hills, that kind of thing they talked about.
So if I'm raining and I go near a bush,
Yes.
would you say that it's
Slippery when wet, maybe?
I'm sorry. I couldn't tell.
I walked right into that bush. It was terrible.
I'm sorry. It was the progression of the chat. I'm a child. I'm sorry.
Nope.
That's interesting. I don't know. I like the idea of like how I like how I keep going back to DayZ, but I have more of a rest because I played a lot of DayZ.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like the idea of certain clothing, you know, making you more visible or not, but not having actual mechanics that, you know, like I'm in stealth mode, you know, like you know, like you crouch, you wear camo, you're going to be harder to see. You know, it's that whole thing, like, you know, you can have the big, you know, mountain bike backpack that's like orange, you know, that you can carry more in, but you're more visible. Right. So you might want to go with something, you know, that I like that kind of system a lot more than, you know, oh, I'm sneak mode, you know, like the last thing I want is like a thief type situation or anything.
Yeah, there's no way that they do like an actual like thief mode or anything like that. I think it's exactly how you think it's going to be. And, you know, if you wear dark clothes at night, you're going to be harder to see. But if you wear a, you know, hunting vest that's bright orange, you're going to be really easy to see.
Yeah, they did show about 5 or 6 different backpacks yesterday, all different colors, like orange and pink and green. They were all the same backpack, just in different colors, like kids' backpacks for school. All right, so I did want to bring up another topic, and this is not from the cast itself. It kind of was something that popped up that I was like, holy crap, and we have about 10 more minutes we can go in this, then we can start the Q&A session. But I wanted to get your guys' opinion on this because it's sort of like just flipped my mind when I saw it. Let's see, turn off topic 1 here. Kill on sight. So one of the guys on the stream yesterday came on. He was just one of the viewers that walked in, and he was handed the mic, and they said to him, hey, ask your question. He's like, I have to ask a question. Do you have any way that you will make it to where people will not be able to kill on sight in this game? Because I don't want to go into one of these games and be killed on sight by a player that, you know, just shooting me just because he wants to shoot me. And that sort of struck me as odd. It's almost like saying I don't want to do quests in World of Warcraft, or I don't, you know, it's sort of like struck me as weird. What do you guys think about?
That's the wrong game for you, buddy.
That's what I was thinking too. But
exactly.
I like expecting the same thing in Counter-Strike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of the point. It's a PvP game with zombies at the end of the day.
Right.
It's not like now. Go ahead, Skylar.
No, go ahead. It's fine.
I was going to say it's different. Well, you know, I say that, but at the same time, you know, we had that problem in Rust, and you could argue that Rust is at the time when we played it was a zombie game, but at the same time, a lot of players would come in and immediately go, okay, I want to go chop down that tree, I want to go harvest resources, I want to build a little base, I don't want to fight. And in fact, it got to the point in Rust where we made a non-PvP area that we said straight up, if anyone kills in this area, you're kicked off the server.
Wow.
So I know it seems kind of off the bat like that's kind of a weird question, but when just like we were talking about earlier, when Ello kind of brought this really good point up about how they're giving us all these tools to do things that may not necessarily be already in the game, you know, a lot of those goals don't involve killing other players. So if you're going to actually put the sandbox there, you have to be willing to understand that players are going to make their own goals that are sandbox as well.
Mm-hmm.
I might go a little deeper. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What was it?
I'm done. Go ahead.
I think it's typical of gamers today. I'm going to rant a little bit right now, but I think it's typical of the mentality of gamers today that they They don't want to be killed right away. They want to be given things real quickly. They want to have the best sword in the game and only play for an hour. That like me now generation kind of thing that is kind of spawned in video games, which I absolutely hate. There are so few games out there that are actually hard, actually difficult these days, because there's this thing that I want to jump into a game and I don't want any challenges, like I don't want this to be challenging in any way because I might get frustrated, and the thing is that a lot of people think that that's what they want, and some people may totally love that kind of gameplay and everything, but I find that the best games out there are the games where you have extreme adversity and then you overcome it. So nobody likes to be spawn camped, okay? So I can understand, spawning and then somebody shoots you, and spawning and somebody shoots you, that's no fun. But if we're talking about, like, I don't want to be kill on sight, for like the first hour of my adventure out there, the first 2 hours, like, you know what? Like, play something else. Play something that's a little bit more friendly to people. I want a difficult game. I want a game that's going to challenge me, where I'm going to jump in, I'm going to know I have nothing, and I'm going to need to survive. Maybe even around hundreds of other people that have tools and have weapons and have shelters and all this stuff. This is what makes it fun for me. Because the moment, you might die, 10 times in a row, but that moment you get your first axe, and that moment you, steal that first, piece of meat, or you do this or that to survive, even though you have all that adversity, then it suddenly becomes meaningful. Like your accomplishments become meaningful.
Do you play a lot of Demon Souls?
You see, and this is the thing, I was just about to say, Dark Souls 2 is a great example. Why does every gamer, it seems like gamers at a certain age and older just like love Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls and all those games, because they're difficult. They dare to be difficult in a time where being difficult is not popular.
That's
as far
great,
as gaming
because
is concerned.
they did say that they wanted to make this game harder than Demon Souls 2.
There you go.
Because what you got zombies that can kill you in 2 to 3 hits. You got players that are honestly going to be out there trying to take you down, and you have the environment itself trying to kill you. So you've got 3 things at all times trying to take you out, and you know that it might be moments of pause where you're just running through a forest, it's pretty and everything, and then you get shot, dead. And that's the kind of thing that I love about these games. I love that about DayZ. I would kill on sight, and people would kill me on sight, and it just happens. It's just like, oh fuck, I got to go back and do this over again. So
I don't think.
I also.
Go ahead,
Ben, if I may follow up real quick, and now
I agree. I agree completely with everything that you've said, and I think that DayZ has been revolutionary, and then it came by and kind of proved that there is an audience for that type of game, and I think H1Z1 is trying to follow in those footsteps. And if they're going to start catering to casuals, they need to kind of make that clear now, or if they're going to cater to the people that are coming from DayZ who want the true survival experience. I mean, whichever way they're going to go, I think they kind of.
Let's just call them gamers, okay?
Well, and I think it's important for players to understand what they find fun and not try to take their mentality into other games and genres. I don't walk into a racing game, and say, I hope it does this, I hope it does that, because I don't know a thing about racing games. I don't like racing games. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want a company to cater to me in racing games when it works for so many other millions of people, to have fun with it. I think if you're going to walk into a game like this and be like, I don't want to be killed on sight, then I think the answer is maybe you shouldn't play this game. Maybe you should find something else. Yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't even have to be that crazy. Like, oh, we're so hardcore, it's hardcore gamers, like with our cigars and crap. But like, you know what I mean? Like know what game you're gonna have fun playing. Don't walk into it. I don't walk into Walmart and demand a
Agua.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, hold on.
Something that's not at Walmart.
Right.
Tell me this now. Before I say this, because I this goes perfectly into something I was thinking about. Did they mention anything about server configuration or being able for players to select types of servers?
No.
Okay.
Well, wait, they did, but you cannot. They're all Sony servers. You can't. They're not going to allow you to have private servers.
Okay. I don't know if you guys remember this. I may have said this last podcast. A while back, I followed John Smedley on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And a while back, John Smedley put up 5 back-to-back full 140-character tweets about how H1Z1 was going to be the first Sony game that really relied on this kind of segmented server architecture, where they were going to do a lot of different things inside of that spectrum. I think that what Ello is talking about is a completely valid and perfect way to play the game, and probably is how most players are going to. Mm-hmm. But I do think that when you're putting as much variance and variation, especially in a game where you can construct things, where creativity is a factor, mm-hmm. where you can, potentially, like, one of the things I was thinking about this game that was completely devoid in Rust, let's say every completed room, three walls, a door, and a roof, had a 5% chance every 20 minutes to spawn a small zombie raid. And the more rooms that were put together, more NPCs would come in that raid. So it's like if you had a base, you had to continually defend it and, keep it from these zombies who would eventually break through and break it down if you didn't have to. What if there, were different types of gameplay that could be done in the same world with the same rules that didn't involve shooting everyone you see on sight? Which is basically, in DayZ or Rust, what you would need to do to survive. Which kind of goes to what we talked about last week about how you couldn't tell your targets. You can't tell who you're shooting at. So a lot of times, if you're not 100% sure, you just got to kill them. And it's the same thing with DayZ. If you're a serious DayZ player, you have no idea who's coming up, you're probably going to kill them. If you're serious about surviving, you got a lot of gear. But to have different... when you're talking about a game, you can build giant skyscrapers and you can defend against these zombies and put up barricades and all this stuff. If you're going to have different types of rule sets, why not have some rule sets where you can't kill or be killed for the first 20 minutes? Why aren't there rule sets where there's PvP in safe areas? As I'm sure I remember them mentioning there weren't going to be safe areas in most servers, but why not have those in some locations? Kind of like we did in Rust. I mean, we talked all the time when playing Rust about how we wish that we had more configuration over our servers. It just wasn't there.
Remember, Skylar was mentioning the heat maps a little bit ago? They are going to be able to tell exactly where the most highly population of players and zombies are, and they're going to drop you as far away from there as they can. So that might be a way that you would start out 20 minutes away from any kind of real danger because you're going to be out in the middle of the sticks somewhere.
That's a good point. Yeah, but
as far as like the configuration and stuff, like, I mean, they have made it clear that this is how they want it to be played. They want it to be a survival game. I mean, why should, if this is the direction that they want to take the game, why should people be able to say, you can't do this because I want to play it this way? I mean, it's an open sandbox. Anyone should be able to do anything that they want. And if that's kill on sight, that's kill on sight. And I mean, that's just the way it should be.
But you would, so if they came out with a different server types, okay, let's say a friendly server type, and those server types existed, but so did yours, do you think it would affect your gameplay at all for those to exist in their own realm? Because you would never jump on them, you would never play them. Your gaming experience would be would be it would be exactly what you want, and the people joining your server would be exactly the kind of people that you would want to play with. Would it hurt you, or would it make your experience any different knowing that there was another server out there where people would be invulnerable for 20 minutes?
From a game designer perspective, why would you not want to cater your product to the most varied audience when it's so easy to do so? Especially in a situation when you're using an engine that's already established, you can do all this from the get-go. It doesn't affect you. Basically, you get players what they want, and they get to choose where to be. And they don't have a bad experience. Players get a better gameplay experience with a more focused set of objectives.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a second. I think the main reason that they're doing that is because they want this game to go down as being the most hardcore game that's ever been played. I think they want to beat the Demon Souls or Dark Souls or whatever. I said it wrong earlier, but they want to do that and break that up. I think they want to be like, we're the best, we're the most powerful. Yeah, go ahead.
They want to be the most hardcore game out there with a permadeath system.
I'm thinking that's what they're shooting.
Sounds wonderful.
Ben's like, oh yeah.
Since they are going to have.
Go ahead, Skylar.
Since they are going to have voting. For server rules and that sort of thing, for implementing new servers, I guess if enough people want that, then that's
true too.
Right?
I'd be fine with you're basically describing PvP and PvE servers and MMOs, and I'd be fine if people can't server hop. If the casuals want to go on the casual server and have their little perfect community, no guns experience, that's fine. But I think that the gameplay should be developed towards the hardcore survival gamers that want an immersive experience.
And you can't server hop on the same character, so that does eliminate that. So
I can see where a game company would want to capitalize on an idea that this is quote unquote, the hardest game out there. So they wouldn't put those servers in there purposely so that if anybody thought about their game, even, just had a memory of their game, their memory would be, everyone would be collectively, wow, that game was so difficult to get going. And there's I think I don't know anything about game design. I've never been in the gaming industry, never anything like that. But there seems like, to me, it would make sense that there is an appeal to having your audience consider your game to be one of the most hardcore survival games out there. Does that make sense, Cohh? You understand what I'm saying? Like, having that title, and maybe by putting those other servers in there and allowing the quote-unquote Care Bear-ish, more, the casual community, those kind of servers, it would actually tarnish the overall aspect or the overall outlook of the game as a whole. Does that make sense?
I sort of see the point there, but at the same time, it's like if you look at it from a product being created and you're trying to make the most people happy, what are you going to do? Jack the zombie damage up so it's 50% more than other games, then call your game the hardest? I mean, it takes a lot more than just how many times you get hit and how much damage you do versus zombies to become a game like that. I think it's not really feasible, really through any amount of settings that's really going to get that title. You know what I mean? You can say it until you're blue in the face, but if it gets to a point where players aren't saying it's difficult and they're going, this game is cheap. A zombie ran up behind me, he's faster than me, two hit me, and I was dead, and I played that character for 4 hours. So I see where they're going with that, and I know that they would want to push that, but to me, it's still. I still think that I think options are always good in a situation like that. But I definitely, if you're really trying to push that, I can kind of say...
Okay, let me put it this way. Would Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2 and Demon Souls have the same reputation if they allowed players an option to play through the game that was much more casual?
Easy mode.
Well, you could always disconnect your Ethernet cable.
But but what I'm saying, do you understand what I'm saying? Would Dark Souls have the kind of reputation and the kind of popularity it has if they would have added a purposeful option to go through the game on a much easier mode? Not just easy or hard, not just
like the difficulty levels.
Yeah, it might be just another run-of-the-mill RPG. It wouldn't stand out like it does now.
Dark Souls is a very unique experience. It doesn't really have a lot of competitors. And I do think that a lot of people think that Dark Souls is very, very difficult because a lot of times it's very cheap. The camera doesn't work all the time. You get hit into a corner and stuff like that. It's a lot of the difficulty with Dark Souls, even though it's there, and I understand that without it, you would lose a little bit of that shine. I think that it's kind of a unique thing to compare to a game that already has competitors, already has similar titles out, already has a lot that's, there's already DayZ, there's already Rust. H1Z1, is kind of trying to fit in the middle and then call itself the hardest. And I understand where they're trying to go with that, but I just think that it would probably be in their benefit not to go that way and instead cater to the people that are trying to find a medium they're not finding already in the genre. But that's all. I see what you guys are talking about.
I have no. But here I'm going to pose the question again. Do you think Dark Souls 2 would be as popular if it had a separate Care Bear mode? I mean, you have no idea, but I'm just asking your opinion.
I don't think Dark Souls 2 would be nearly as kind of held up if it had more difficulty, but I do not think it's something that could be compared to H1Z1 and the other shooters. But I agree with you, but I don't agree that it fits the situation perfectly because there's so much. There's not other Souls. There's not other games like Dark Souls. When you say Dark Souls, you don't go, oh, Zelda or oh something. There's not a lot of RPGs that are that popular that are like very kind of in tune with what it's doing. So, but when you talk about H1Z1, immediately think, oh, DayZ. You think, oh, Rust. You think of these games that are already there and already offering the player lots of options. So you're going, okay, is this game going to kind of take that to the next level, or is it going to try to specialize, which it's doing now? And again, I see why they're doing it. But again, it's just an opinion on this. I'm not trying to argue I'm correct. It's just kind of, that's how.
No, you're out of control. Everybody grab your rabbit sticks.
Flicking them at Cohh.
No. I totally know. I'm a game designer, so I'm thinking about this like in terms of how can we reach the most people and make the product successful. Not how we can make a niche happy. How can we make it so the whole venture is something that the most people enjoy?
Yeah, but see, I'm not focusing on the actual game itself. I'm just focusing on the type of release or the type of game model that it's presenting. Does that make sense?
The marketing.
Yeah,
well, again, you have an ultra hard mode in a game. You have you've got like your hardcore modes on Battlefield and Counter-Strike, and they're kind of famous for that.
But that's what I'm talking about, though, is that Dark Souls 2 doesn't really have that. It doesn't have what makes Dark Souls 2 unique from other games, even though it may be a game in its own universe. Kind of, there's not really a lot of games, which I totally respect that opinion. The thing what makes Dark Souls 2, I think, is because it doesn't have that easy, hard, super hard, hardcore, kind of thing here. This
does have New Game Plus up to 30.
Oh yeah, of course it has that, but everything starts.
You still have to work through that, and the very first playthrough is always going to be extremely difficult, especially for new players to that type of game. And it was the imperfections that made Dark Souls, and it was the way that Dark Souls was presented to the public was, here you have it, warts and all, enjoy it or not. And that was kind of the way that they threw it out there. Yeah.
Real quick about Dark Souls.
Yeah.
To kind of support what you're saying, Ello, I'm on the press list, and I got an email from Dark Souls. And the first line, and this is their marketing. This is from their PR people. Hi, Ben. Are you ready for more grueling punishments? That's the first line of the entire email. That's what defines that game from top to bottom. And if you don't have that component, it's nothing like it is today.
All right,
but, we should probably stop talking about the game that is famous for being difficult. I mean, that's
okay. I think it's time for our break. We're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we will come back and pick up with our Q&A session. So we'll see you guys back in about 5 minutes, and we'll be right back, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and start the video. Hey everybody, we're back. Yay, magic.
Hello.
Magics of the internets. All right, we're going to start our Q&A session, and we have a cubic buttload of Q&A questions, so we're going to go through them kind of quick. We don't want to be here for another 6 hours. If you guys still have any other questions, by all means, ask them. Just put them in brackets, and you can stick them in the chat. And I'll go ahead and start asking the questions, and if you guys want to answer them the best you can, or I'll try to answer them, we'll get through these. We have one here from Cyberwolf. Cohh. Cyberwolf comes on our channel, and when we do our other podcasts for Star Citizen or even Into the Portal, he usually has about 400 questions ready, and he did not disappoint tonight either. All right, okay, what's up, Domo? Before you got really tied up with podcasts, I wanted to go ahead and make a request if you guys have time to discuss. You think makes zombie game survival games to be so hardcore KOS? Oh, never. I can't read this. So
I think the questions need to be a tiny bit shorter. I think you can skip that one in particular.
We
talked about KOS anyway.
We already talked about that. We're skipping that one. That's why I thought I'll skip it. All right, so question from Cyberwolf. What type of protection can we use on our one-person houses to protect it from being attacked and destroyed by other players? Skylar.
What was that?
I throw it at you. What type of protection can we use on our one-person houses to protect it from being attacked and destroyed by other players? You know, I read that. Yes,
I do know this. So there are going to be traps. We know that much, but they also worked on the socketing system or the barricade system yesterday. And so basically what happens is that there are sockets around your windows and doors, and you can craft barricades that snap to those, and you can craft various levels of them. So, wood ones will be easier to destroy than metal ones, for example. Mm-hmm. And that is,
that's that. All right, how does the zombie get attached to the player? Can you stealth once you've been spotted? This is from Getsuga.
Emotionally.
Yes,
emotionally. He gets emotionally attached to the character. They develop a romance together.
No, they did show yesterday that once you kind of get spotted, they turn towards you, and then if you keep moving, then they start walking a little bit towards you, and then pretty soon they can say, oh, I see him, it's definitely something I want to eat, and then they start chasing you down, and other ones will follow along. As soon as the zombie, like Cohh was saying, like you use zombies to find other players, sort of like echolocation by zombie. The zombies will use that in this game as well. As soon as they start seeing a zombie running, they want to run too, and they'll just follow along with it. That's how a horde starts.
Does it show the amount of noise that you're making or how visible you are?
Remember it used to be Daisy, like with the little thing? Or, no, that wasn't Daisy.
Eye and the sound and stuff.
Was that Daisy or Warzy?
Daisy. You think it's Daisy?
Okay, it was Daisy.
Well, I think both actually.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet on the UI, but maybe.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I wonder if like running makes more noise and crouching makes less noise, and is less visible, things like that.
Yeah. Okay, this question is for Cohh. Are beards required to be a male person on this podcast?
Yes.
Okay, good question. Skylar's got it. There you go. This one's from Magdar. What do you guys think about having child zombies? Add the moral hesitation of, shit, do I kill a kid?
I would not have a problem with it.
Although we wouldn't have a problem with it, that would bring up a lot of
moral, ethical,
negative press.
Yes, I don't think that would.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot. It would definitely increase the immersion. There's no question there. I hate saying it. In a real environment, you would definitely have zombie kids.
They do it.
Absolutely.
But if you
zombie babies,
but there's I think anything alive.
If you think back to how big of a problem it was in Fallout 3 to just have kids, and the fact that you could go into the options and set their essentialness to 0 and then shoot them, and how big of an uproar that caused, it would just be more real problems than it's worth, despite the fact of how authentic it is.
I think we're kind of past that. Maybe. Okay, as gamers, I think we're past
we are
gamers.
Are
you,
past
me,
everyone
the general
in this
public.
But
what's the general? Okay. But my thing is that did Fallout 3 stop? Did we stop?
They made children invincible.
Yes.
Yes, but what I'm saying is that did you haven't played a game since then where kids get killed? You never played a game where kids get killed?
Wasn't there some press about a Call of Duty game or something like that where there was a scene that showed a kid getting killed? It wasn't even like the player shooting him, but they ended up taking it out before they released it.
Yeah, I'm a little more gritty, maybe. I don't know. I'm all about like realism and.
We watch it in movies.
I agree with
we
you
see this stuff in movies all the time, so it's not exactly, like there's all sorts of horrible violence on TV. I mean, you watch some anime, it's ridiculously worse than this. But games games are so under the microscope with the whole violence thing, which is, I hate saying it, it's still alive. It's still alive. I mean, you have these school shootings. The first thing they do is they go, what games was he playing?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
What games was that kid playing?
H1Z1.
So it's not the fact, and Elo, I agree with you. I think I think you, I think everyone in this podcast, I think that there's no question it could add to immersion and be something that a real player, would probably not have too big of a problem with. But I think that the media and everything else with it, it's just too hot. It's too hot of an issue, and it would honestly bring more negative press to the game than it would probably be worth in the long run.
And that's probably true. I don't know.
But
I feel like the whole I feel like the whole thing with the violence in the games are the cause of that line of thinking was so 1990s. I just haven't seen it. I have not seen it. Or 80, yeah. I've not seen it really affect the industry or the amount of games that have come out with violence or anything. All I've seen is, in fact, a scale of violence that has done nothing but increase since then. And it's not hurting sales. People are still buying video games. Industry's still going strong. They might get bad press, but ultimately it's not going to matter. The Walking Dead, in their very first episode, had a young girl who was a zombie who he shoots and kills in the very first episode, and everybody loves Walking Dead.
But
nobody says a thing.
That's the thing. I mean, they coded that in drama, right? They coded that in such an air of dramatic effect that what people felt when they saw it was the emotional response of shit.
And also, correct me if I'm wrong here, did the character actually do the act, or was this something that happened? Because it's very different to see it play out in a graphic cinema. It's very different to have you be the one aiming the gun and pulling the trigger. Those are two very different things.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I agree.
Okay. SOE does. Somebody in the chat just said SOE doesn't want bad press. Of course, nobody wants bad press. But you know what? Somebody's going to do it. Somebody's going to do it eventually, and we're going to accept it, and we're going to move on eventually. I'm sorry. I think we are. Just as a gaming community.
That for Fallout 3 though, and they patched it out of the game a month later.
I know. The thing is, Fallout.
And they realized, whoa, we shouldn't be doing this. They backtracked.
Fallout has always tried it, though. I mean, if you look back at Fallout 2, they had kids in the game that would pickpocket you. And when they actually shipped the game for universal or international release, they patched it out of the game and turned it into these old people. And you were like, you just got pickpocketed by old beggars. And you're like,
that's what I was going to talk about. Was internationally in Australia and the UK and stuff. How they have to edit out their games a lot.
You're right. But the thing is,
that's what I was going to say too.
But I think I really truly think as time goes on and people get less sensitive about some issues, and also as kind of the older generation sort of, not in a mean way, but kind of dies out, I think that we stand to see a rise. We have seen a continual rise in violence. Grand Theft Auto 5, was that possible? Like 10 years ago?
No.
Really? Honestly?
No.
It's possible now, and why?
Because we're becoming desensitized.
Because we're going.
Are you pushing for eventually games to reach ultra violence? Are you saying that the boundaries should just be lax?
God of War is to ultra violence.
What I'm saying,
kids for the game,
House of 1,000 Corpses.
Killing babies in 2020. Come on, guys.
Yes, now with babies.
I want those babies dead.
What I'm talking about is the flexibility of context.
Yeah.
Talking about, we're not just running around in a game where we're just running around shooting kids for no reason. Oh, Postal Service, something like that. Okay. What I'm talking about is a game that has context. There's a context to this universe that would allow and make sense for kids who are zombies. And that my point is that as games progress, we're going to get to a point that we're going to mature both as people and as gamers, where we can accept that in this universe, there may be a zombie kid and we may be able to kill it. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because it's part of the immersion and it makes sense. We're not here to...
So your argument is eventually we're going to get to a point where we can just design the game exactly how it would be in real life, and we wouldn't have to worry about all that BS kind of clouding it up with stuff that we don't have to worry about, which I kind of agree with.
Sure.
I see where you're coming from with that. It would be nice for them to not have to worry about that kind of stuff and just be able to develop the game they want to develop as real as they possibly could.
I'm sure that if we go too far with that, like where the game becomes so real that it becomes really close to reality, we're going to have some issues with people who aren't, fully there in mental faculty that might see reality and games start to blur the line. But we're nowhere near that yet. So let's be happy about that.
Real quick, but there was actually a game this year that allowed you to kill baby zombies.
What was that?
South Park.
Oh,
and they did it by making them
fetuses.
Yes, that's right.
Zombies.
Look at
make them
that's
Nazis and it solves all the problems.
It's a damn good
thank you so much, man. I was sitting here thinking of the game. I'm like, there was a game that came out just recently that was really
we played it.
I do want to say though that South Park intentionally that's not the only thing in that game that should never other games couldn't do.
But crawling through the anal cavity,
that whole game was surprisingly horrific every other scene. Trying to do that.
Context. We as a race, as a people who enjoy entertainment, South Park can get away with stuff like that.
They always push the envelope.
Another game that would have ever done that did the things that they did. The things I did in that game, I can't believe I did. And the thing is that South Park can get away with that because and this is what I'm talking about, pushing the envelope. South Park is almost allowed to push the envelope. They're allowed. And so they take it, and people are not happy about it. There are people who aren't happy. There's always going to be people who aren't happy about it. But the thing is that I can look over the last 20 years of gaming, and I can say there has been one thing that has been concrete about gaming, and is that progressively over the years, things have gotten more realistic. They've gotten more violent. They've gotten more immersive. They've gotten more contextually, even sometimes not, just ultra violence is a thing that we're kind of stepping towards, and it doesn't. I don't think that it would matter how much bad press that comes with it, because you know what, South Park is looking for Game of the Year right now. They're making a sequel, is a huge hit, and on top of that, there's just no way. There's just too much money in the game industry right now for people to really turn against it in such a way. It's crazy. And
LPC Elmo has a good point.
I don't think zombie kids in a zombie universe is really that far fetched. I don't think that's really the farthest we've gone. When I used Mr. Slave and
went up his ass. Yes. So real quick.
Okay.
I was just say he's got a good point. And I think this kind of helps your argument a little bit, Cohh. South Park aims to offend. H1Z1 does not want to offend its audience.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Just like earlier, we were talking about how it would be kind of folly for the game to include easier modes if it wants that title of being hardcore for the hardcore. It's not going for the let's offend everyone we can as much as we can. That's bringing in an entire different level to their advertising. But I will say, at this point, I think the argument is kind of moot. I totally agree with Ella where he's coming from. I see what he's saying about, and I agree that honestly, in any situation, as a designer, you want to make the immersion as real as possible. Mm-hmm. There's never a situation when you want to say, I don't want to make this experience the absolute best I can for the gamer. And in a situation we were talking about, an outbreak in a real world situation in a real world town, it's odd that it's only adults that are infected. It's odd. You're sitting there going, this is not how it would be.
Right.
This isn't how it would be. Done. End of story. So there's no question that given the context, in a world where none of that would matter, as long as you were responsible with it, which is important. I mean, you have to keep, the aim proper and that kind of thing. That would increase the immersion of the game. You can't. There's no argument besides that. And I see where he's coming from with that. But at the same time, in today's world with the current rules, I think it would be silly.
I agree completely. We as gamers, we prefer the immersion over the event. The negative fallout of the press. Unfortunately, companies still have to deal with that. So and that's the issue.
Well, you guys. How did they handle killing the little sisters? Didn't you have to kill them when you're killing the big daddy? You had to kill the little girl too.
You did. You had the option.
I don't remember anything.
To kill all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I don't remember any super negative thing about it. I mean, if they portray them as evil enough, it doesn't necessarily have to be a Nazi, but just evil enough. I think that people are kind of okay with that. And
I think,
and in the game, they weren't even bad. They were actually neutral. You got to save them or kill them. So in essence, they were just small children. That's actually a really good point, Ben. I didn't actually think about that.
But I don't think people thought of them as small children anymore. There was a point where, I mean, considering how long they've been alive, you know, they're not really small children anymore due to the
But you could
So you make the
save
same
them
argument with
in
zombies?
But does
Yes.
but why didn't the media? Does the media really know? Why does the media cut a line at this little zombie girl with a big daddy? And to me, if I was looking from the outside, I'd say that's a zombie kid. Like, that's a zombie kid. That's what I would say. You can kill the zombie kid in this game.
Yeah, but the media
Wait, this
doesn't
game
do-
is 20 years after the infection, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a chance that child was infected
Has grown
20
up.
years ago, and it's just a 20-year-old zombie in a
Do zombies
body.
age? Do
zombies
zombies age?
I think a 20-year-old zombie would look pretty
they
much like muscles on bone with maggots coming out of every pore.
But this
That's-
game takes place 20 years after the infection began, so with that
Well,
said,
I
there's
think-
a chance that these zombies are from the beginning, some of them at least.
I think
I
the
think-
the thinking would be that the people would continually be being infected. The population would be kind of being worked through at that point. Because just like I just watched some anime recently that was really weird and talked about this guy who turned his girl that he knew into a zombie, and then it was all about her being a zombie and stuff. It was really crazy. It was like a 12-episode anime. I don't remember. Someone in the chat will probably remember. But it was really interesting because it brought up all these questions about zombies you never normally think about. Like, okay, so when a person becomes a zombie, at that point, they're no longer alive, so they're rotting at that point. They've got a time limit before they're gone, materially, you know, because things biodegrade, and nothing in that virus is going to prevent that.
Right.
So, you know, it's kind of interesting to think if it's 20 years after, you know, like how that would kind of affect the world, and that's a good point.
Last of Us, you know, dealt with a lot of, you know, children and you know, that kind of children dying and being around harsh situations and stuff like that. Like, I think at this point we can all agree that I'm right and you guys are wrong, and
Fair
so we
enough.
can probably
Let's move on. Yeah, let's get moving on here. All right. Here's a question from the Warlords07. What do you think of the building system compared to DayZ Mod's way of building and how they will maintain raids with servers with hundreds of people? If you guys may not have seen, basically you can attach onto a building by building like barricades around like the doors and stuff, or you can build your own out in the woods somewhere by chopping down trees and sort of building your own kind of log cabin out in the woods. So I guess he's asking. Yes, go ahead.
See, now, I am insanely interested to see this system. I was, you know how there's mega builders in Minecraft? I was a mega builder in Rust. I liked to build gigantic apartment complexes for my entire community to live in. At one point, I've got a video on YouTube. I think at one point we made one that was 10 stories high, 35 units deep, just these massive structures. And the first thing when I heard H1Z1 about its building system that I thought of is, okay, I want to know every single detail about this possible. Like, for instance, it's a really big deal in Rust. Like, if you build it out of certain materials, you can't damage it without certain weapons. You know, and those weapons you can damage it with are an extremely short supply.
They did talk about you can't shoot through a door or a barricade that you build. You have to use an axe or a hatchet. They did mention that yesterday.
Okay, they also mentioned, I remember, that there's different materials. So how do those different materials influence, say, you know, is the axe going to be able to cut everything? Is there going to be something that the axe can't cut through, like concrete or,
I hope it can't cut metal, but they didn't say.
That's what I'm hoping too. But, you know, at that point, okay, so, yeah, that would be a very interesting weapon to have in a game like this. But at that point, okay, are there going to be different types of metal? Can you reinforce the metal? You know, how much would you have to do before an explosive weapon would work? Are there, you know, are those even going to be an option? This kind of thing. So it's, and you know, and again, you know, the building system in Rust was very basic. You know, are we going to see a much more complex building system in Rust? You put down a metal foundation. Congratulations, you're building a metal house. But, you know, are we ever going to see something where you can start combining materials and using what you can? And, you know, just that always bothered everyone that I talked to in Rust, is the fact that you build a wood house, it's a wood house. Why couldn't you put metal walls on a wood house? You know, it doesn't make any sense. You could still hold it up. I mean, if it's a one-story thing, that completely was a deal breaker for a lot of people.
It was kind of silly.
So how are they going to do that? How extensive is it going to be? You know, how big can these structures get? Are there going to be limits? You know, like these design decisions are going to be just extremely important to people like me, frankly, that are really looking at this game.
Listen, for those of you who don't know, Cohh, when he gets in a game like this, it's like art. The dude he has you really do have like a real eye for design and stuff. Like when you get into a game, like you get in Landmark, you're making like airships. I'm trying to get a square box together. Like it's crazy. So I've seen you play Rust. Yeah, like I've seen him like make skyscrapers and stuff in Rust and get the community together and everything. So I think not only will it be interesting to see how they handle it, but I think it'll be interesting to see you explore all this stuff that they can do too as a streamer. So I'm excited on both fronts. I mean, who knows what they're going to be, what they're going to do, and what the limitations are, and what can't you put, and what can you put, and how complex is it, and all that good stuff. If you start bringing in something like a blowtorch though, or something like that, my mind starts going off into different directions of like, can you set a forest on fire? Like that kind of thing. Like that'd be kind of cool. But anyways, that's a whole nother.
They are going to have a lot of. You will be able to burn people's houses down. So that is a mechanic.
Another.
Can you maim zombie bodies and leave messages and things like that?
Don't know about that.
Oh,
Man.
How about we use the blowtorch to write messages on people's bodies?
Or you can dip your hand in the gore and write it on the walls, like in like they did in the other. Anyway, question here, and this one's for Ben, or CrsSmokie. As good as this game looks, and how fast it seems to be coming together, should DayZ be ashamed of themselves?
Well, I think that's kind of a unfair question. I think that DayZ has set out to do something very specific, and that they're following that path kind of to a T, and maybe following it to a T is not in the best interests of the community, but I think that they're going to reach their decision or their design goals eventually. I'm hoping that at the end of this, H1Z1 and DayZ will kind of be two different experiences for two different groups of players. So
like Guild Wars and WoW. Same kind of game, but different experiences.
I think that all these zombie survival devs, other than Warzy, they all respect each other. They all respect what each other are doing. They're like fans of everyone, except everyone hates the Warzy, right? Obviously, but
not everyone. People still play that shit.
Yeah.
If they knew the truth, they wouldn't.
Yes.
Well, the thing is, they want it to be easy. They want it to be casual. They want to log onto their own server and have like 1 million safe houses there, and then grab the shit they want, log off, jump on a different server. That's the thing, right? We talked about this before. The casuals like having it a little bit easier than, the experience that DayZ brings. And WarZ gave exactly that to a lot of people.
Let's put some things in perspective here, though, with that question. You've got SOE, who is a video game company that has been making games since the 90s, okay? And they've got teams, they've got huge budgets, we're talking about, just the huge, one of the biggest gaming companies out there. Yeah. And then, a behemoth in the industry. And then you've got Dean Hall and Brian Hicks, who I have personally hung out with those guys. They are amazing individuals, but they are by no means, until DayZ took off, they are not some kind of behemoth in the gaming industry. They started with very, very little and created quite a bit. And so the perspective here is resources. I mean, no, DayZ, in my opinion, I know this is a question for Ben, but in my opinion, DayZ should not be ashamed of themselves. These are two totally different realms.
It's not even comparable. Ella is absolutely right. It's not even comparable. You're talking about DayZ was an addition. It started as a mod to an existing product by a small team. We're not talking they had a lot of experience. These are guys that were trying to get something out, but in their free time at the beginning. I mean, it's the kind of thing where Sony is a well-oiled machine. They have documented processes. They have engines that were designed in-house. They know exactly how to use them. They know exactly how to utilize them. And it's the kind of thing where it's not something you can really compare. It's certainly unfair, in my opinion, to say that DayZ should be ashamed. Yeah. It's apples and oranges. It's not even comparable.
H1Z1 just kind of came out of nothing because basically they had the ability to take
it's going to be out in 3 weeks. They announced it like 2 months ago. Yeah, that's
Forge
ridiculous.
Light Engine. It was like Forge Light Engine. We'll just reskin it. We'll stick some stuff on it, and boom, we got a game that's going to stomp all the other games in the genre. That's pretty powerful.
I think it's important to also remember when we had Jimmy on last week that he was very, put DayZ in high admiration and was very respectful and Dean Hall came along and created DayZ, and that's what that created the path for H1Z1 to come on. So they really respect what's going on there, and
there was a
I'm sure they'll compete. But I think
yesterday,
what's that?
There was a dev wearing a DayZ shirt on the stream.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot of these games, specifically to the survival genre, that just would not have ever seen the light of day if it wasn't for the DayZ mod.
The War Z, unfortunately.
Is one of those games that never would have seen the light of day. So maybe we should blame DayZ.
I just wanted to add an asterisk, that statement, we shouldn't be too happy about DayZ because it brought the War Z.
Oh, I didn't mean it like that. I was just saying...
No, I know.
This is a question that came up yesterday during the stream, and Skylar, do you want to answer this one maybe, if you remember it? Will you be able to alter the gamma in-game because night is worthless? Because then night is worthless. That's
Wait, to create Hulk people?
No. Yeah. Now I was like, what?
Pretty sure that's exactly what they meant.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't remember the answer to that. I don't remember them giving an answer to it at all.
Yeah, basically what they're asking is, like in DayZ, you could crank the gamma all the way up, and so you could run around at night, and it was like no problem.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you guys have had an old LCD. I mean, sometimes it's not really an option. I mean, you have to turn the gamma up if you want it to be viewable. If they took away gamma options, they would be leaving some people in the cold. Now, that being said, they can go the Rust way with it, where the gamma is alphaed to the actual game's graphics. So if you start jacking up the gamma, it actually starts contrasting the game. Oh. So all of a sudden, it's becoming harder to see if you raise the gamma at night. And you have to go into your different section. You have to actually exit the game and raise your gamma from your NVIDIA panel if you want the gamma to actually go up. So, I mean, there's a medium there that they can do that's not necessarily like, hey, turn the gamma up and no more night. You know what I mean? There's things they can do to get around that and still have it be viable for people who have older
That's actually a really good question, though, because I remember in DayZ there was a patch for a while where people with specific video cards, I don't know if it was brand specific or if it was a model specific, but they were able to set their gamma to a way that they could pretty much see perfectly at night, where the other people were basically in pitch black. So I do think that that's something that should be raised, and we should, find out how they're going to handle that situation, because that's potentially game breaking.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
All right. So another question. This is for all of us, so we can go across the board here, and I'll answer this one. Okay. Will anyone on the stream play H1Z1 for more than 1 month total? So, Cohh, you want to answer first?
It completely depends on the game. Mm-hmm. It 100% depends on the game. If it's the kind of thing where, we don't find any... For instance, the thing that really stopped us in Rust was the fact that we couldn't identify people. People loved the game, but at the end of the day, it got to a point where we had 60 people in the game. We couldn't identify targets far off, and it got ridiculous. It got absolutely ridiculous. If there's things like that in it, then we'll probably play it. Well, see, here's the thing, though. H1Z1's in an interesting position, and I'll make this quick. They're kind of doing a rolling development with extreme community feedback. Mm-hmm. So it's not like a game where it's like, okay, here it is, you like it or you don't, and if you don't like it, go play something else. Yep. There's gonna be it's kind of like Landmark is right now. There's constant patches, constant update. Landmark right now is nothing like Landmark is going to be in 6 months. Right. They're going to go from mining everything on the surface, no real digging potential, to having an entire vertical digging system with underground biomes and all this other crazy stuff. It's going to completely change the game. So when H1Z1 comes out in 3 weeks, am I going to play that for a month? Maybe. Am I going to return to it in a month when they add some awesome new system? Maybe. It's the kind of thing where it all depends on the status of the game, how much time they put into developing the mechanics, and if there's nothing in there that, in my case, because my channel is really based around the community, if there's a lot of factors in it that make it extremely hard for community play, then probably less time than more time. But again, we'll revisit it as this feedback is given to them and as they change the product.
And if I can follow up on that, there's more to it than just that. Even on the surface, there's that. Then take into account that we're streamers, and we have to take into account, first of all, we're having fun playing. Mm-hmm. That's the most important thing. Second, what the audience wants us to play. If we get a negative response from an audience, that will lead us away from some games. We might love the hell out of a game, but you know what? If the audience isn't into it, they're not feeling it, we may not play it. Depends on what other games are out. What else is going on. It's hard to commit and say, Oh yeah, for sure. I'm definitely going to play this game for a month without having touched it. Right. The thing is, I mean that is what Cohh covered, but like on a much deeper scale, there's a whole strategy and a whole way of going about streaming games that are really dependent on a lot of factors that you really don't deal with. You don't do it in the now. You deal with it in the present. Mm-hmm. So I could flip it on, and my crowd could really love it. It could be really successful. I could have a lot of fun with it. I could go on to play the game for 5-6 months.
Right.
But I could flip it on, hate it, or love it, and my crowd hate it, or I hate it and my crowd loves it, or another game comes out that I like more. Mm-hmm. There's so many different dimensions when it comes to streaming a game that it really makes it hard for us to go, oh, absolutely, I'm going to play this for a month. Like any game, not just this game, any game at all. Mm-hmm. So it's a very difficult question. I know that it's frustrating for people when they see streamers get into a game, they invest in a game, and they jump into it. And ESO, we were very good with it. Like, we wanted to play ESO. We jumped into ESO. People bought ESO to play with us, and then a week or two later, we're out of ESO. I did not like ESO as a whole. I loved the PvP, but I didn't like the game. I couldn't keep playing. I said, I'm sorry, guys. I'm not having fun. Sorry. And that makes people upset. So they want to know a concrete yes or no. Are we going to be playing this? And it's just an impossible question. It's an impossible question. There's too many factors.
The good point is that it's free to play. So if you guys do get your communities to jump in, it's not like they had to spend the $150 like other games.
Well, it'll be free to play after the 3 week because we're all gonna, let's face it, we're all gonna play $20 to play.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
But no, it's interesting because just like Ella said, and it's the kind of thing, honestly, and this is one of the reasons I'm really kind of hoping that Sony kind of pays attention to streamers and what they get out of the game, because having a active and vibrant Twitch community, that really moves games in ways that a lot of mediums just don't do these days. It's one thing to watch a commercial of a bunch of predetermined gameplay. It's another thing to watch a person that has thousands of people watching them having fun. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people, and Ello, I've seen the same thing in your channel, and in most big streamers, if the person's having a great time, you just see people in chat, hey, I was going to buy this game, you're having a great time, so I just picked it up.
I just got it, yeah.
Me and Ello between us have made by ArcAge in the last 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. We've made try-ons thousands of dollars just because we're having such a great time in it. So it's the kind of thing where if it comes out in 3 weeks with a follow-up patch, and when it releases, I have no idea who I'm shooting, it's horrible, and then all of a sudden in a week they patch in this little item that I can craft and I can give it to my buddy, and if he flicks that item on, his name shows up in my HUD wherever I am. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, we're making a conveyor belt, and we're gathering supplies so we can build these little items and give them out to our crew so we all know who we are. And all of a sudden, it's this big community experience because one decision was made. You know what I mean? So it's the kind of thing where, just like Ella said, one decision like that can make or break a streaming experience.
Do you remember in Boston we met Tiana at the SME party?
Yeah.
Yes. I talked with her about this. I said, what could we do? We want to do something with the streamer. And she said, well, why don't you guys all come up with an item that we can give out to the streamers as a giveaway item just for streamers to use in H1Z1. So they're open to that kind of thing. And maybe we all should sit down and talk later on and figure out something like a cool item, like a hat or something that sets it apart. That like, okay, this comes just from streamers.
A stick with a bunny.
Yes! That's item done. Yeah, that's it. When you flick it, it's like a shuriken. The head comes off and it flies, and the rabbit ears stick in your chest. So, all right, Skylar, what do you think? What's your plans on playing this game?
My plans are essentially what they are, like Cohh said. It's kind of like what they are with Landmark. I mean, mm-hmm. I bought into the early access. I know what I'm getting into, which is sort of a bare bones type of thing. And I'll play it initially to see my impressions, and then end up probably waiting for them to add more features or balance features or whatever it is that they do. That's just sort of how it goes with these early access games.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. People ask me. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I was just saying, people ask me all the time. They're like, "Hey, you talk about Landmark all the time. Promote it. Why aren't you playing it?" It's exactly like Skylar just said. We're kind of in a holding pattern. We've done everything we want to right now, and there's tons of great stuff around the corner. We're really excited about it. It's just not here yet. It's like waiting for a game release, except it's a patch.
Yes, that's exactly. I pretty much slowed down on my channel too, playing Landmark for that very reason.
But at the same time, it's a great game. It's not like we don't like the game. We're just waiting.
We're just waiting. CrsSmokie.
I mean, I don't have fans or a stream or anything like that to really hold me back or anything like that. So kind of just, if it's fun, I'll play it for a while, and until it's not fun.
So it's not fun anymore. Move on.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of the way it'll be.
All right.
I played War Z for about 45 minutes total ever, and then just turned it off, and that was it. DayZ, probably, 60, 100 hours, which is a decent amount for me.
Cohh, you're epic with your gameplays. You play the same game for months.
Yes, I do, if it can hold my interest long enough. And sometimes I'll just be playing a game that I enjoy playing for the sake of having something to play. And that's not always the best way to go about it. But when a game is truly, truly enjoyable, I can play it for hours and hours and hours and just not get tired of it. And that could lead to several months of me playing the exact same game. And my channel is, it's young. I mean, I've only got 1,250-ish followers. So for now, the followers that I have, enjoy the fact that I can play whatever I feel like playing and have fun playing. So that kind of, to me means that it's very important that I play what I enjoy playing, because when I have the motivation of playing, when people see me having fun, it's a lot more enjoyable than me sitting there going, yeah, I'm playing this game for you guys.
Yeah.
I'm not really
it
here
has to be enjoyable. Yeah.
And, yeah, go ahead.
Right,
Sorry.
Go ahead, please.
And that, really makes it for me, like, if I truly don't feel like playing a game, that kind of means that I might just have to skip an evening, because there are times when there's just no game that is truly, truly appealing, and that's because, tomorrow might mean a new game comes out, or, a day before something else will have come out that just didn't do it, because you were figuring, hey, I'm going to play this for the entire week, and it's just come out, and then you play it for like 5 minutes, and you're like, This is total nothingness, and that it is a little bit demoralizing. But I'm sure as I become a more experienced streamer, I will kind of be able to push through that. But I don't know how the experiences are from Cohh and Ello.
Yeah,
we don't know what the hell we're doing.
Well, but I will say, me and Ellohime have had this discussion many times about having fun while you're streaming. And how, especially the regular people to your stream, know if you're having fun or if you're playing a game because you think you have to play it.
Right.
I mean, there were times at the end of ESO when I was doing PvP, no one was listening to me. I was trying to lead Zergs, I was herding cats, and people were in the channel going, dude, Cohh, what's up? And I remember specifically seeing someone say, hey, Cohh, I'll come back when you're in a better mood. Yeah. And it was seriously eye-opening to me. I was like, well, damn. Okay. So I didn't even realize at that point that I was kind of almost forcing myself to play this. Yes. And I had to have a viewer actually see it. And it's sometimes they can tell before you do if you're even having a good time or not. Yeah. And it's kind of like you need to be cognizant of this kind of stuff, because it's very important. As a streamer, people don't come to us to watch us have a bad time, unless it's something like Dark Souls, which again is its own category, and that's expected. But in a normal situation, when you're supposed to be having fun, if you're not doing it, it's kind of like something's wrong. And it's kind of like you're kind of looking at it like, I've seen it in a few other streams ever since I kind of noticed that sometimes I do it, and it really is different. It kind of is it's a completely different experience.
Yep. Yeah, there's been complete streams that I've just dropped right off the bat and said, guys, I'm not having fun. I'm turning off the stream. It was it was a real good time, and I'll be back tomorrow.
Once, what was it? It was a game that had just came out.
Thief.
That was it. Yeah. You were playing Thief.
I said,
you died on a mission, and you just went, you know what? I'm not having fun anymore. File, quit. I'm going to play something else. And I remember sitting there being like, this is crazy. Like, what is he? Wait a second. Like, wait, this makes a lot of sense. And everyone in the chat was like, go for it.
Yeah, nobody knows how to do. Yeah, because it's funny that he says that, because you don't realize it. Sometimes you don't realize you're sitting there playing something, you're just like, oh my god, I'm not having fun. Whenever that realization comes to me, I go, all right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Like, I'm done with this game. See ya. Like, it can be just like that. So it's kind of crazy, but that's a whole nother.
All right, well, let me I'll finish up the rest of this question, and then I think we'll wrap it up, because we're at our 2-hour mark here. But the way I do it is, I did this with DayZ, is I will play a game for 30 days. I'll give a game a 30-day try. I'll play it for a couple of days at first just to see if it's one of those ones I'm like, screw that. But if it is something I really enjoy, like I did it for DayZ, I did it for Landmark, 30 days of a particular game, and then I will, like you were saying, Cohh, I will turn it off, and then I'll leave it alone for 6 months, and then I'll come back. So then I'll give it a chance. And I'm supposed to be hitting DayZ back in August, so we'll see if in August that it kind of came to fruition, if it ever fixed its problems. And if it didn't, then we'll just play a couple of episodes and that'll be it. But yeah, that's kind of how I do mine. All right, so we did have a crap load of questions tonight, everybody, and of course we didn't get to them all. I apologize, but there was a ton, so we got to a few of them, and hopefully...
Can I interrupt you for a second?
By all means, yeah.
Can we just do something right now?
Okay.
I want everybody to hold hands. I want everybody to hold... Wait, is that the right way? Okay, I think
this is really weird.
Okay, so if I go here, and then if I go down...
Okay, how am I going to hold Skyla's hand? Okay. This is weird.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah. That's exactly... I want to get everybody's hands together. That's what I want right now.
And we're going to sing Kumbaya? What is this?
No, I just want to do it. I just want to see us do it. I've been sitting here for like... I've been sitting here for like forever and just freaking out because I can't seem to get it all together, and I don't know. I just really want to see it. Are we doing it now?
We did it. I just dropped it.
And if you look on Skype, we're off topic. Everything is reversed.
yeah, everything's reversed.
On Skype, it was looking really weird.
I'm sorry. I've been sitting here looking at this, and I've just been like, all I want to do is just have everyone hold everybody's hand. That's all I want. I'm sorry. I'm done.
That's perfect. Okay, no, fair enough. All right, so let's go around the room, everybody, and tell everybody where they can find your stuff, your YouTube channels, your Twitter, your Twitch, your streams, all that stuff. So go ahead, Mr. Cohh. Obviously, people can find you here because it's your channel tonight.
Yes, I was going to say, if you're watching this, you know where to find me. Hopefully you're a follower. If you're not, cool. This is where I usually do this thing every morning at 9 a.m. EST. I'm kind of absolutely stuck in ArcAge right now. I can't get out of it. Every time I try to click on other games in the morning, ArcAge keeps opening. I keep playing it. But that's what I'm doing right now. I'm very much looking forward to the H1Z1 in 3 weeks. And we definitely will be playing that. I'm playing Daylight tomorrow night. That'll be interesting.
Oh, we have a friend, Bod, who's in chat right now. Darren, he played that today, and it has some kind of interface with Twitch, so the Twitch stream can tell the game to do things to you, like send out a ghost or something. So
yeah, and we do a thing on this channel where we change the donation sounds to obnoxiously loud screaming.
Yep.
And that tends to sometimes change the experience a bit.
Yeah, that's exactly what I streamed last night. So
it's good, huh?
Oh yeah, it's really short. But it's good. It's a
I
good
heard it was
ride.
in like 2 hours. I heard you could beat it in like an hour 55. I'm kind of bummed. But I heard it's procedurally generated, so you can actually like do it again and again and again, which is kind of interesting.
All right, Ellohime.
I wouldn't want to.
Tell us about yourself, Ellohime.
Good to know.
I'm a streamer. A lot of you guys here probably know me. I stream at www.twitch.tv/Ellohime. It just got posted in the chat, which is cool. I am also stuck in ArcAge right now. It's a phenomenal MMO, probably one of the best I've seen in years. And we've been having a lot of fun with that. I streamed Daylight last night. It was the first thing I streamed. I typically stream midnight now to anywhere from 10 to 12 in the morning Eastern time. So I go around the spectrum there, the 12-hour, midnight to noon kind of thing. Yeah, I streamed Daylight last night and also put the donation sounds for screaming. It was absolutely terrifying. It's way worse than Outlast. It was worse than Outlast. Yeah, it was pretty bad, but very, very, very short. But anyways, you can catch me there on my stream during those times. We have a lot of fun on my channel. We go anywhere from gameplay to silliness, comedy, whatever. So if you want to come by and check it out, you're more than welcome. Also have a Twitter and YouTube, but you can find all that stuff on my personal stream site. So yeah.
Okay.
And I would do a very big suggestion. If any of these guys are streamers, please go to their channels and check them out. They are phenomenal individuals. I know that Core streams, Skylar streams, and Cohh streams, and you stream too, Geek. So toss these guys a follow. If anybody from my community is here, they definitely are good people, fun to watch. I've watched all of them. I think the only person I haven't watched is Cohh, probably. Yep. And I think it's the only person that I haven't watched. So, but yeah, just talking to him today, he seems like a really cool guy. So just throwing that out there. Give a little head nod to my other streamers out there.
Thank you, Ella.
Thanks,
Yeah, no problem.
Miss Skylatron.
I am Skylatron. I also stream, and I do work for 10 Ton Hammer, so I stream for them as well. You can find me everywhere as Skylatron, Twitch, Twitter, all the things, or 10 Ton Hammer Network as well. And I mostly stream MMOs, but it just sort of depends on what my fancy is.
What are you streaming right now?
I just got into Arcade
right.
Alpha, so I'll be streaming that tomorrow. Everybody's playing Arcade.
I think we're all playing Arcade, yes.
Yeah.
Roll East Side Skylar.
East side.
Which, okay, I can't even tell
Okay.
the difference. Is that the kitty cat Asians, or
Yeah, I
is that...
think
Two right. It's the
Yes.
cat race or the one to the right of the cat race. The two left are west. The two right are
I
I
used
guess
to
I got to
say-
re-roll now.
I used to say that the Asians are on this side and then the humans are on this side, but then people said, because that's what it is. It's like the Asian race and then the human race. And I was like, they're like, so Asians aren't human. I'm like,
Yeah. Face palm, yeah. Yeah.
So I guess I'll be playing an Asian and not a cat person on Arcade.
Yes, I'm not a big furry. CrsSmokie, where can they find you? What do you do?
You can find me at Twitter /CrsSmokie. That's about it. I'm not as important as the rest of these guys. I do run Gamepedia.com though for Curse.com, and you can find our H1Z1 wiki at h1z1.gamepedia.com. Yeah, that's about it.
That's awesome. And finally, I guess I'll go last. Cohh, tell us where people can find you.
I am Court of Existence. You can find me at twitch.tv/CoreofexisteNz. I stream daily when I have a game to stream. Unfortunately, I was unable to stream the last 2 nights, but I will be streaming again starting tomorrow. And, of course, currently I am playing
Arcade. Aren't we all?
Arcade. So yes, that will continue. That trend will continue till Arcade becomes boring. But I have this sneaking suspicion that I won't get too bored with it too
I don't think I'm
quickly.
going to get too bored until H1Z1 comes out.
So yeah, we'll probably be playing Arcade for the coming weeks, and yeah,
Until dogfighting module or whatever comes out.
till dogfighting module, till H1Z1, or a little bit of Watch Dogs maybe. But we'll see.
oh, yes.
Yes,
That
a
doesn't go.
little bit of Watch Dogs. Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yes.
I had to order the Vigilante edition and the Collector's edition because the Collector's edition didn't come with the scarf thing, face
You had
mask.
to get the scarf.
Impressive. You
I
can
had-
get it
I
for
had-
$35 right now. By the way, if you like Watch Dogs, get it. It's gonna be good. It'll be big.
It's going to be amazing. Yes. So yeah, those are the games to look forward to, and I will be streaming them. So please come check out my channel at twitch.tv/CoreofexisteNz.
Okay. And I am Geekdomo, and usually you can find me on my channel, twitch.tv/Geekdomo, just the way it's written here. Right now, Arcade. I do switch it up sometimes. Today was the zombie day because we're doing the cast tonight, so I did play State of Decay today. And then probably going to try to throw a landmark here and there during the week if I can. I don't want to give up on my landmark peeps. But definitely loving Arcade. It's so in-depth, and I'm just kind of blown away that this game kind of slipped under the radar for me for so long. So yeah, very, very cool. And the tribe that's here tonight, make sure you follow Cohh. I think we've already done this a bunch of times, but follow Cohh. And then next week, I think, if we're doing it right, I think we're switching over to Ellohime's channel next week, right?
I think so.
We're going to run this on Ellohime's channel next week, so we're just going to rotate around. We'll go to all these different people's channels. It'll be fun. We're sharing the love. We're holding hands, being all kumbaya. All right?
Even though I think a good portion of us got like a decent amount of follows from this, streaming or not. Like so yeah, we can do whatever we want. I'm totally happy. So yeah, no, we can have it definitely on the channel.
Yeah, well, everyone follow everybody, man. Just like a big community. It's great.
Yeah, definitely.
Community
I
of
know-
stalkers.
1,800 people tonight, man.
What's that?
Pretty fun. 1,300 people
Yeah,
tonight.
it's good.
Not bad at all. So thanks everybody for coming, and of course thanks to the guests and the hosts tonight. Really great to have you here, and we will see you all next week. More information comes out. I'm sure that we'll, and we might even have another dev back this week. Oh, I didn't mention that. I just real quick before. Thanks to the devs. I appreciate you guys getting in touch with me, but I think it was after your 12-hour impromptu stream that something fell through, so that's why we didn't have a dev tonight. But next week we should have one. We'll see who it's going to be. I'm working on trying to get the guy, Mr. Broom, the art guy who did Bob and Fred. Try to get him on the show if we can.
He's the best.
He is cool. All right, everybody, thanks a lot, and we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you guys.